Thank you, Mr. President. Today's resolution is very timely, but I believe we need to speak clearly. We live in a multipolar world with multiple crises and huge inequalities. And Mr. Trump, after his re-election, tells us that in this world, where authoritarian regimes are becoming stronger, it is not in the interests of the United States to agree new, more inclusive rules based on international law as it did in 1945 or 1990, but to replace these rules with one rule: might makes right. The United States will act to its immediate benefit, even if that means not respecting borders, the internal affairs of state and international organizations. And politics will be based on the power not of politicians, but of billionaires who became richer during the economic crisis, the wars, and the pandemic. As Hannah Arendt said of imperialism, businessmen became politicians, and politicians were only taken seriously when they spoke like businessmen. All this, however, did not come out of nowhere. The rise of far-right populism is based on the contradictions of neoliberal globalization that led to a global economic crisis and huge inequalities. It is based on the fact that there was no fair transition to the green agenda, and the costs were paid by consumers while big companies became richer. It is based on our double standards when we rightly condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but are afraid to speak about thousands of deaths by Israel in Palestine. And we are afraid to talk about peace in Ukraine and let Mr. Trump and Mr. Orban speak about it first. It is based on the hypocrisy of those who wanted foreign workers but are unwilling to support their rights, who supported wars but are unwilling to accept refugees. We see today the shameful images of the violent deportation of people who have lived for decades in the United States. So what we need today, I think, is a broad coalition of governments, movements, and citizens, a European alliance of democracy and justice that promotes our values while having learned the lessons of the last 30 years. The Council of Europe must send the message that we accept a new multipolar world in which the West will have a strong role without dominating, that we want, together with the UN and EU and regional organizations from around the world, to discuss a new international architecture on the basis of the United Nations Charter, and that our relationship with the United States can only be based on mutual respect, respect for our borders, and the clear message that we will not accept interference in our political systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tsipras.